Yes.
It's 6:30. We're going to call the meeting to order. Notice is hereby given that this is a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, being held today, Thursday, February 13th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. at Sandy Oaks City Hall, located at 4451 Hickory Haven, Sandy Oaks, Texas, 78112, for the purpose of considering the following agenda items. All agenda items are subject to action. Ms. Shelton, can we get a quorum call, please?
Alderman Rapino.
Here.
Alderman Fillinger.
Here.
Alderman Tremblay.
Here.
Alderman Walker.
Here.
Alderman Yelton.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we stand for Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, citizens to be heard. Please note that the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the City Council from responding, commenting, or discussing items or topics during this portion of the meeting that are not included on the agenda. The City Council appreciates hearing from the citizens, and your thoughts and questions are valued. However, civility and a sense of decorum will be strictly followed. All speakers must address their comments to City Council. Speakers shall refrain from public criticism of members of the City Council that are prohibited by law. This item will be open for up to 30 minutes with 3 minutes to each speaker. One person may speak on behalf of a group. Up to 3 persons may register on behalf of the group in order for the spokesperson to be allotted up to 9 minutes to speak. If there are more than 10 speakers, each will be given 2 minutes or 6 minutes for a group spokesperson. We do have Mr. Salyer who has signed up to speak, so I'll let you have your turn.
Outstanding. Shall I come up front or?
You may come up front.
All right. Now I'm gonna keep this very informal, y'all, if that's okay. First of all, thank y'all for having me. I appreciate you. One of these fine citizens called me out and was like, "Hey, what about our little city?" I said, "You know what? Big things happen in small packages, right?" That means a lot. So with that said, you're talking to 14 years military, okay? As I've formally told you personally, 14 years military, injuries cut me short. So I found myself having to work from a wheelchair up again. And I was told I could never do it. And that's why I'm doing this today. I was told I'd never do this. Every time somebody tells me something no, I push forward and make it happen. So what we need out here is a voice, y'all. And I would love to be that voice for you. So just give me the opportunity. I'm a diehard Republican. If that offends anybody, I'm sorry, that's me. I'm not going to excuse what I was born. So with that said, thank y'all very much for having me. This district, I encourage you to look at it. It is phenomenal. It goes from the south side, from here, from Somerset, all the way to Universal City, all the way to the northeast side. It's vast. But this is the true definition of what Texas represents. It talk about cultural diversity. This district has it. They need to be here. The Capitol needs to be here, knocking on our doors, screaming, "How can we help you?" That's what I aim to do for you. So thank y'all so much for listening to me. God bless you. I appreciate each and every one of y'all.
Thank you very much. Okay, item 4 on the agenda, a presentation by Commissioner Christopher Cavazos with Emergency Service District Number 6 to provide an update on a substation located in Sandy Oaks. Do you want to, David, would you let him use your microphone?
Take one down, pass it down, please. I apologize if I didn't get enough copies for everyone. I had to go to other channels to get those taken care of. Either way. Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris Cavazos. I am a commissioner on the board of directors for Bexar County ESD 6, which provides fire service for this area. Those of you who don't know what Emergency Service District is, real quick recap. It's a voter-created political subdivision of the state. We're responsible for providing emergency services. In our case, our mandate is fire protection and first responder, like ambulance, and civilian oversight of those services. Now, To recap what's happened since our last meeting, the last time I was here was June of 2018. Mr. Tremblay was actually set that up for me. I found the email. And lots happened since then. The passage of the sales tax in our strategic planning session was right before that particular meeting. So lots has gone on. Now, the handout I passed out was actually a smaller copy of the handout from that June meeting, which shows what our goals were as of that June. We'll go over real quick. First phase was complete the equipment bay over at Station 161. If anyone's driven down 1604 by Southeast Baptist, you've seen it. It's big as day. That big red building. Purchased property in the city of Sandy Oaks for a substation. We finished that as well. We did that in 2018. We began the phase 2 living quarters at Station 161. We're releasing that for bids the 25th of this month, actually. We're estimating completion of that in February of 2021. We purchased a vehicle for that particular station. You all may have seen it, a ginormous it's 450 or 550 that's been cruising out around there for that particular station. That brings us to phase 3, which phase 3 was our expansion in Sandy Oaks. If you look at the second page of the handout I gave you all, I prefer the heat map, but we didn't have one for December. These are the locations of calls in our service area for the month of December of 2019. Now, like I said, the heat map's better because as there's more calls, it gets redder. So on this, you can't tell if there were multiple calls to a specific location. So that each dot may actually be stacked up 2 or 3 calls to the same address over a given month. But as you see, the red circle is Sandy Oaks. We have a large concentration of calls in this area. It's one of our population centers here, the Mogford 281 area, and those are really 2 major population centers. So getting a station in this area was vital to us because once you pass 1604, there's no direct connection, no easy connection between 37 and 281. So if they're answering their house fire call down here and they have to dispatch to something on Mogford 281, they got to go back up 37, cut across 1604, and go down 281. So we really needed something on this side of the district, which is why we purchased land. It's actually down by the Dollar General. It's 2 lots over from the Dollar General on Mathis to put up our station, because then we'll also be able to answer all those calls on 37, everything here, and everything going up and down Campbellton Road. Because if you look at the next page, the last page on that handout, this is calls by type. Now, Bexar County District 2 is our service provider. We contract with them for service like other ESDs contract with the volunteer department. We just went to another department and contracted with a professional department, so we'd have 24/7 coverage. So there's paid personnel 24/7 on call. Okay? But if you look, even at their stations, which 121, 122, and 123 are stations up in District 2, which is north of 90, 2/3 to 3/4 of the calls are all medical related of some type. Very few, an increasing number of calls aren't fire related. This was first responder, so it's 911, I have chest pains. 911, I've burned myself, things like that. Actually dispatch the fire department. And Acadian will go as well, but we'll get there first. So usually they're the first ones on the scene. So getting one so close to the population center is going to be vital to help cut down response times. To that end, going on phase 3 there, we are actually released the RFQ for an architect this past Monday the 10th. So we're already entering the design phase. Once we get our architect releasing the RFQ, we should come back and have folks to pick from in middle of March. And then we're going to start that process. Once we get the architect picked, we can go out, start designing the station, things of that sort. It's not going to be the size of the station 161. It's going to be about half the size of that. We predict to have a 2-man crew there, which is enough for a brush truck to get to your medical response, things of that sort. But if everything goes according to plan, God willing and the creek don't rise, as they say, Thanksgiving of 2021 will be moved in. So that's about a little over a year off, but it's a bit longer timetable just because there's nothing there at all. I mean, it's complete dirt. At least at 161, we already had a building. We had soils reports, things of that sort. We're starting from scratch at that location. But money's been budgeted. As I said, the sales tax was good to us. We've been able to do things we would have never been able to do with just our property tax. So hopefully that continues. And we're waiting. We did get our revised ISO rating submitted. We're waiting for them to sign off on that. And once that happens, every additional location is going to get within the response time. So everything, once we build that station, everything within that's going to have that same low ISO rating, which should help, depending on your insurance company, your homeowner's rates. And of course, in addition to that, we'll buy another vehicle strictly for that location. But as you see, we're running out of things on the list. So we have another strategic planning session planned for next quarter. So we can keep going and go from there.
So these trucks and personnel will be dedicated to Sandy Oaks?
They'll be dedicated to that station.
To the station.
911 is going to dispatch the closest station whenever a call comes in. So just due to proximity, chances are they'll more than likely be coming out of there to answer any calls here, unless they're already on a call. There's a big accident on 37 South somewhere that they've already responded to. 161 is going to have to come over to answer that one.
Assist either one will assist.
Correct.
As
Correct.
required, yeah.
But this is going to be up to dispatch, whoever's closest at that time. It won't be dedicated for this area, but just by sheer proximity, they'll come here first. They'll go to that station first. Hey, is anyone available? Yes, no, and then they'll go out from there.
So is this going to, you said this is just a two-man operation. Is there plans for potential expansion if needed?
We have the station in our design criteria that we've been getting ready for. We have it to where we can expand it in the future. That's going to come down to financing, honestly. The city of San Antonio is continuing to expand and encroach in our area. I don't know if any of y'all have seen, there's actually a D.R. Horton subdivision sign that's right here on 1604. As soon as they put in the plat for that, the city annexed it. So we're not going to get re-lost. Well, it was ags, it wasn't that much to begin with, but all those new houses, we're not going to get any of that tax money. Right there where they put that Mr. W fireworks stand by the old Easy Mart, they annexed that effective the 31st of December. So anytime somebody attempts to develop down here, they have non-annexation agreements all over the place. So as soon as they try to subdivide to do anything, they take it. So property taxes are continuing to go down. And of course, whenever there's property tax, let's just say, for argument's sake, that piece of land over there was going to be an HEB. Well, we also don't get the sales tax either, from whenever it got built. So it's a balancing act between funds.
Right.
And that's something we're actually dealing with right now as far as our long-term planning.
So the facility that you'll be building out here, will it have a bunkhouse for the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So they
we have
will have facilities?
No, correct. They will be stationed there full-time.
Okay.
Currently, the plan is we'll split the staffing, the current staff numbers, we'll split them between the two stations.
And both will be EMTs? Or will, at least one will be an EMT?
District 2, all of their folks are EMTs, yes.
Okay.
They all have medical training.
Okay.
All of their hires do.
One more question.
Yes,
As far as, how are your engines manned at the station on 1604? So typically you would have an engineer, captain, and a hose man. So are all the engines there on 1604, are they two-man crews?
Unless they need to deploy the actual engine, they'll typically go out as a two-man crew. Even if they do need to deploy the engine, they will still send two vehicles. They'll send the command vehicles. The command vehicle will have two on it, and there'll be two on the actual engine. And when they get there, all of them man the engine. But they still have that other vehicle go out because the command vehicle actually has their links back to dispatch and such.
Are they all trained as EMTs?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They
All
all are.
firefighters then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, all of the In fact, they're having District 2 is our provider, as I said, we have a contract with them. They're actually hiring paramedics and training them to be firefighters instead of the other way around.
Wow.
It's easier that way. So they've actually opened their own fire academy. District 2 is, and they've been accredited, and they're training folks. So they're taking paramedics and training them to be firefighters because it was so hard for them to. Firefighters with paramedic training are in very high demand, so they found it was easier to go the other way around.
The city requires it.
Yeah.
Well, that's creative.
Yeah. But, any other questions or concerns at this point? It's been busy down there. We'll all be at the safety conference next week in Galveston for our continuing education training. Network and get other ideas from other districts. We'll go on from there, but no, it's the staffing issue is at the forefront right now
Right.
because the district does not have control over how much the firefighters get paid because they're not our employees. And District 2 can't say, well, you only make so much if you're down south. They pay everybody the same. It's all just based on their experience and their position. So we're kind of, pay is an issue. Because they have to keep up with San Antonio because everybody wants to go work for San Antonio. And San Antonio says their purse has no bottom. So it's something to deal with.
So I do want to touch on the ISO just for a moment. The importance of the ISO rating does impact homeowners insurance rates. Even though the facility on 1604 has gotten, correct me if I'm wrong, was it a number 2? Y'all went from a 10 to a 2, is that correct?
I'm not at liberty to say because
Okay.
the state fire marshal hasn't signed off on it yet.
Well, they made an improvement, a significant improvement.
Yes.
It does not benefit us because it's a 5
road mile.
5 road miles, and we are just outside of that. So once the facility gets in place here, that will help our residents as well.
Yes, it's a very convoluted system the insurance companies use. And you think it's strange here up on District 2's area, it's even more confusing. Because if any of y'all have been to Alamo Ranch, I don't know if you have or not, and that maze of streets to get anywhere. There are folks with stations right at the entrance to their subdivision, and they don't get the credit for it because they're in the back of said maze. So it's more than 5 miles by road to get to their house. So they don't get, even though it's right there at the entrance of the subdivision. I mean, think of it as us having one right here at the Valero, or right where we're going to build. And there was a maze to get back to the water tower area. There was another entrance to the water tower. You chew up all those miles to get to the other side. So when they actually look at it, it's like, well, it's more than 5 miles from the station. It's like, well, Google Maps says it's not. Well, no, but when you actually
Right.
drive, it is. So Station 161, 5 road miles, actually ends, unfortunately, just about at the off-ramp of 37 at 122.
Almost.
Just
so close.
miss it to get off of 37. So once we put that on, like I said, it'll pick up all of Sandy Oaks, most of this area, and of course one of Campbellton Road and things of that sort. But it is what it is. But it will help. It will help. We have in my case, it won't because I live in a manufactured home and the insurance company doesn't care. But if you're a site-built home, your homeowner's rates will come down once that's in place.
I do want to thank you and the commission for addressing this. I know that it's been a long road getting to this point.
Yes, it has been. I'm glad I was still around to at least see it started. But,
Exactly.
We'll go from there.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Item 5 on the agenda, the city administrator updates and announcements. There are 3. The first one is second town hall meeting regarding fireworks, the master plan progress, and the I-37 section improvements. If you don't mind, Lou, I'll take the first one. We decided at our last town hall meeting that our next one will be on March 26th. The intent is to hold our regular meeting, and at the end of that meeting, we will adjourn and then go into a town hall session at that time. And so it will be at the same time, same place. And Lou, if you want to talk about the other
Yes, concerning the
two.
master plan, I did meet with Tony Saucedo Monday, and we went over a draft of the response that we received from our citizens regarding the goals and objectives that people had in the community for a part of the master plan. We had, as of Monday, we had like 115 responses, and he's still trying to wrap that up. Hopefully by the end of the week we'll have more. And when that information is available, I'll pass it on to the city council and mayor. And also, he did talk about presenting a draft of the overall master plan, hopefully by the end of the month. So that's just an item of information. And also, at the I-37 intersection improvements, we were told, I did contact the TxDOT rep, and he told me that in mid-March they will finish up the roadway improvements at the intersection at Priest, Mathis, and the access roads. I asked them also to please come out and fix up some of those potholes before they came out to improve the overlay. And so that's moving along, and I think we should get that finished hopefully soon. And I did, by the way, visit at the Lost Hills site today, and they're moving along very quickly. They are removing some additional trees in the right-of-way. They said that they should have the,
That's not on the agenda.
what's that?
That one's not on the agenda.
I'm sorry.
So interesting about the I-37 intersection, we've been having this promise since September. So maybe by March we'll get it done. Thank you, Lou. Item 6, the financial and budget report. The income and expenses will be reported by City Clerk Catherine Yelton, and possible discussion and action.
As of January 31st, 2020, we had an opening balance of $410,629.03. Checks and payments of $76,449.93. Deposits and credits of $87,222.13, giving us a cleared balance of $421,401.23. We did have one outstanding item of $70.86, so we had a ending balance of $421,330.37.
And for the members on the council, there are some rumblings that are happening out in the community about the budget. And within a department, as long as we are under budget, there are no needs for any adjustments. If there are individual line items within a department, that is acceptable. So no need for any budget amendments at this time. Are there any comments, questions on this?
The question I do have on the budget,
Turn the microphone on, please.
the question I do have on the budget is, and this may not be the time or the place, but allocation for funds for our new city hall, is that something that was budgeted, or?
If you remember when we made the purchase of the building and we had the funds, we were able to get the funds for that and also for the transportation. As far as anything else, that has not been budgeted because we
Okay.
didn't plan for that in this fiscal year. So the plan as presented was probably within the next year, so certainly we'll budget for that in the next cycle.
Okay, thank you.
If there's no more questions, if someone would like to make a motion to accept the report as presented.
I move we accept the report as it's presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino to accept the financial report as presented. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries. Yes, ma'am. Mike, is your...
Thank you.
Oh, it was Charles.
Yeah.
Is that really right?
No. It's my magnetic personality.
Okay.
Okay.
Item 7, consent agenda. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered routine by the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. We do have 3 on the agenda, consent agenda. Approve the minutes from January 23rd, 2020 regular City Council meeting. Approve the minutes from January 28th, 2020 special City Council meeting. And approve the minutes from February 6th, 2020 special City Council meeting.
Move to approve consent agenda as presented.
I'll second again.
Alderman Tremblay has made a motion to accept or approve the items on the consent agenda, and Alderman Rapino has provided a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And the motion carries. Item 8, administration. Discuss and or possible action on a resolution establishing 2 scholarships for graduating high school seniors of Sandy Oaks, creating scholarship administrator and other related matters. This was brought by Alderman Walker and Alderman Yelton.
And you'll see the resolution number 2020-113, resolution of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, establishing a scholarship program for graduating high school seniors of Sandy Oaks and creating a scholarship administrator and related matters thereto. And basically it is establishing the scholarship program for qualified graduating high school seniors who are residents of the city to include 2 scholarships. One is a book and supplies, educational supplies scholarship for a graduating high school senior who has been accepted into and will attend an accredited college or university. And 2 is a books and supplies scholarship for a graduating high school senior who has been accepted into and will attend an accredited vocational technical trade program. And the funding, as is stated, is from the sales of the Fiesta medals, donations reserved for the scholarship program, and other sources as determined to serve the public purpose. The other item is we need a scholarship administrator who will work in conjunction with the city administrator to manage all aspects of the scholarship program. They will serve for such term as city council may desire and may be removed at any time by a majority of the city council present and voting at any given meeting. And the general duties are to ensure that the public purpose is served. The scholarship administrator shall work with the city administrator to manage all aspects of the scholarship program, advise the city council of the adoption of or changes to the original intent of the scholarship program, report to the city council on the scholarship program as needed but not less than quarterly, including the number of qualified applicants, status of funding into and out of the scholarship program, and other items as related to the scholarship program.
And if you haven't made your Fiesta Metal purchase, Michelle will be happy to help you after the meeting.
Were there any questions or discussion or?
Yes, I see where everything relates to our duties as the administrator or the city. Is this how are individuals to qualify? How will they qualify for the scholarship? Do we have access to, can we go to the school and will we be able to be
That will-
granted access to grades, or is this strictly they apply for the
Application.
scholarship to the city? It'll be an
It's-
application process.
It's via an application process, but that's all to be determined by the scholarship administrator.
So the administrator will.
Who reports back to the council. But yes, application
I'm
process.
just wondering the merit qualifications, how it will be awarded. By merit, by,
Well, there'll be a separate organization that will make those determinations. But for right now, what we're discussing here is
setting up
creating
the
the scholarship program and
program
naming the
itself.
administrator.
okay.
So we need a,
We need a motion.
okay, I'll move to create a scholarship, let's see, where is
Right here.
it? Okay.
Yes. You
I'm-
can-
Yeah, I moved to, I didn't have it in my packet, but yeah. I make a motion to approve the resolution number 2020-113, a resolution of the Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, establishing a scholarship program for graduating high school seniors for Sandy Oaks and creating a scholarship administrator and related matters thereto. Sorry, I didn't bring my glasses, but I do have
You
my
did
hearing
good.
aids today.
Second motion.
Alderman Rapino has made a motion to approve Resolution 2020-113, and Alderman Villinger has offered a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 8B, discuss and or possible action on nominations and appointment of a scholarship administrator. I would like to make a nomination for Alderman Walker to take that position. She's worked very hard on this. In fact, before she was even elected to her current position, she and I have been having this conversation. So she's very well versed on this, and she has some great contacts and insight to kind of help guide us through this. So somebody on the council can make a motion to accept my nomination. Or you make another one.
I make a motion to accept Mayor Ball's nomination of C.J. Walker as the administrator for the scholarship fund.
We have a motion by Alderman Rapino to accept the nomination of Alderman Walker to be the scholarship administrator. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Someone second.
Alderman Fillinger has offered a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, now you really get to get busy.
Good.
You're not busy enough.
Okay, item 9 from the Marshal's office. We have, Marshal Lopez is not here. Deputy Castillo is here in his place. But I'll go ahead and cover the report. So every month, the first meeting of each month, we're going to be doing our financial reports like we've been doing. We're going to do our marshals reports and also our animal control. And what I don't know, this is from October?
No, he gave it to me, and it looks like some are year-to-date,
When you say year-to-date,
like
calendar year,
citations.
fiscal year?
Well, not year-to-date, actually, from the time he started giving citations. So for the example, the 499.
So it would bring us up to current?
Current. Yeah.
Okay, because we hadn't been doing these
But
before.
the others, yeah, they're basically current.
Okay, so in that time frame, we'll say from October through January, he's made 6 arrests. There's been 499 citations issued, 35 warnings. They have received 4 calls for service. Skirting compliance notices are 22. Of those 22, 8 were issued citations. Miscellaneous city ordinance violation warnings for such as debris and trash, etc. are 35. Commercial vehicle permits issued is 14, 1 citation issued. Recreational vehicle warnings are 5, 2 citations and 1 vehicle was removed. And there have been 14 junk vehicle warnings, and that's just through January, and I know they've been hitting that pretty hard here this week. So we don't need an action on this one, okay. Item 10, presentation of the monthly report by ACO Chris Maldonado with possible discussion and/or action. Are you going to do that, Christopher?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, as y'all can see, I have a copy, correct?
Yes.
Okay. As you can see, for the month of January by itself, we captured 23 animals. I'm sure we could capture more. It's just quantities. We don't want to continue if we can't fund it. This doesn't show an outcome for any of these animals or animals that we previously picked up. So all you're looking at is pretty much the intakes of January itself. It'll tell you a basic detail of the animal we picked up, its age, what it looked like, and who picked it up, where we got it from, stuff like that.
And of these 23, if I'm not mistaken, we have 5 that are being boarded at the moment, is that correct?
There might be, some of them might be. Some of them might be from previous month.
Ah,
We just
okay.
had them so long. So we might have picked up maybe 3 from this month. They're still with us.
Okay.
And Chris, do we have any potential date to take some of these animals to Austin or?
So we've had complications with that. The 5 that we have now, the reason we have 5 is because 4 of them were rejected twice already by San Antonio and Austin. The reason being because Austin had a positive test in the facility. We couldn't give them, transfer them over, and San Antonio decided not to take 2 of our dogs because they were...
Borderline heartworm.
No.
Oh, I thought one of them.
They just couldn't adapt
Ah.
correctly. So it's one of those things that, you know, if they don't have the space or like the dog wasn't adaptable to the environment, they reject them and we have to keep them.
But those 2 we're going to try to get them placement again because it was a matter of getting them used to being approached
Right.
and different people. So they've been working with that.
Yeah.
And I think Austin gives us, they'll take large dogs that are heartworm positive or even borderline heartworm positive. If they don't have too many of large heartworm
Right.
positive. Yeah.
Right.
So we had an appointment
And
Sunday.
currently we have one he's not positive per se, he's just one of those iffy situations that they don't want to get into. So that's why they rejected him also.
And of the 23 that are listed on here, were any of them microchipped?
No.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Any other questions?
How many citations did you issue in the month of January?
That is not on here, but I can say have not given out a citation. I've given out warnings. No citations for jury.
So for the next reports, maybe include warnings and citations,
Yeah,
just to
because
include on
although
that.
it's an animal control problem, it's an animal owner problem.
It is an owner
And
problem,
if we
absolutely.
don't, we punish the dogs by picking them up and putting them in quarantine and putting them in a kennel, but we're not doing anything for the owners, and we need to aggressively find out who these animals belong to and try and tackle it that way. I know that, I look at social media, I don't respond to it, but it might be a good idea for you to get on this Nextdoor app that they use, because a lot of people within Sandy Oaks will post things on social media, free puppies, free this, free that, and then you see them out in the street. So we can at least, we can lock down who these animals belong to. When they come back and say that these animals, that's not their dog, we can show them, well, here you were trying to adopt them out or give them away or whatever. So you did at some point acknowledge that they belong to you if you're giving them away.
Well, I agree with you. I don't agree with me constantly monitoring.
No, but
Social media,
it's
that's
not
not
constantly,
something that's,
but I mean,
I
if I
think
see it, I mean, I
word,
can,
word spreads, it makes it back up here, so.
yeah,
If they have the time to post it on social media, they have the time to call it.
Exactly.
And let us know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
We don't want to get in the habit of responding to what we read on social media, and.
I hear you. It's not a
just
city,
I
it's
mean,
not an
that's-
official
that's
website.
taken, yeah.
Okay.
We would
Scratch
rather-
that idea.
yeah.
Right. Because we do
But I
have
can
proper,
tell you,
we do have
I've
proper
seen it,
channels
but
to address
it
this.
is, it's not, it's, animal
I know.
control is animal owner
Control.
control.
Because if
Exactly.
we- And
And
if
we
we
just,
do respond to it during working hours, then we're on a social media site,
Yeah.
and there's
Get
no reason
criticized for
us
that as
to-
well,
There's
so.
no
I know
reason for us
it's a
to
tough-
be doing it on
it's a
our off
tough-
hours.
it's a tough problem to tackle, and it's since day one. I think it's one of the first things we heard as a council. Animals. I mean, there's.
It's been a recurring theme.
But, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Utilize some colors, not animals.
Okay, item 10B, discussion or possible action on Animal Shelter Advisory Committee nominations and appointments. I'm going to ask Ms. Walker to address this one, if you don't mind.
Okay, if the council remembers, I don't remember if it was last meeting or 2 meetings ago, we created the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee, and we are in the process of filling the positions that are required. I still have not heard back from the vet, the licensed vet, as to a yay or nay. We have 2 we're talking to about it. However, I do have 3 citizen nominations, and we do need to make a nomination for the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee Chair. So the citizen nominees that I was looking at were Mr. Alan Young, Mrs. Debbie Martinez, and Kat Groover.
So we would need to consider each of those individually.
Okay. Mr. Alan Young.
Is he here this evening? I don't
He
see
is
him.
not here this evening. He was going to try to make it, but I think it conflicted with something else that was going on.
And these positions are to fill the citizen,
The citizen component.
okay.
Well, there isn't a citizen component, but it gives you authority to appoint anybody as necessary, right?
As we saw fit.
Yeah, we had discussed having 3 citizens so that we would have an odd number. That was at one of the council meetings, wasn't it?
Oh, you know what, sorry, maybe, I'm thinking of look at the draft ordinance, so.
But
Yeah.
as a chair, don't you have the
Well,
authority to appoint?
But different, no one is the chair yet for the shelter advisory,
Shelter.
yes.
Right.
So maybe we should start
So
there.
maybe we should start there.
I think we should start there. Would somebody like to make a nomination for the chair for the Shelter Advisory Committee? Okay, then I will.
Wait, is there
I would like
anybody
to,
appointed?
pardon?
Is there anybody appointed yet? Could be appoint somebody first and then a chair from the people that are appointed to the position. That are appointed.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's. So they already need to be a member. Well, there's an alderman component.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Is she the
No, 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 we're good, we're good.
Um,
So we're not nominating the chair. The members of the Shelter Board Advisory will nominate
No,
the
no,
chair.
no. The city council appoints the chair, but it comes from the persons already nominated to the committee.
Okay.
So is she the alderman?
Did we nominate you last time for that?
Yeah.
We didn't nominate anybody.
We didn't
Yeah, I
nominate
didn't think
anybody.
so,
Okay. So can we do that?
So you can appoint an alderman as a committee member and then appoint
Got it.
the chair
Okay.
from the committee members.
Okay. So we're just going to reword it a little bit. May I make that appointment?
You can make the nomination.
Nomination for the appointment. Okay, so I would like to nominate for appointment Alderman Walker for the alderman representative on the Shelter Advisory Committee. Would
I'll
somebody?
second that.
Well, I'm not making a motion. Somebody gotta make a motion first. I made the.
Oh, I'll make a motion to accept Alderman Walker as the chair. Is it the chair of the?
No, no, no. She would be appointed as the alderman
Alderman.
representative on the committee.
Okay, as the Alderman representative for the committee.
Okay. So we have a motion by Alderman Rapino to appoint Alderman Walker as the alderman representative on the Shelter Board Committee. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Yelton seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Now you may continue with your nominations.
Okay, so I was looking at Mr. Alan Young, who's not here today.
Okay. So you would like to make a nomination?
I would like to make a motion to to nominate Mr. Alan Young.
I'll second the nomination of CJ for Mr. Alan Young.
Okay. So we have a motion by Alderman Walker to nominate Alan Young as a citizen representative on the Shelter Advisory Committee, and a second by Alderman Rapino. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That one is approved. Continue.
Miss Debbie Martinez.
Second.
We're just going to run right through these. So we have, even though you didn't say it, we have a motion to nominate Debbie Martinez
Debbie Martinez.
as a citizen representative on the Shelter Advisory Committee, and a second by Alderman Fillinger. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Do you accept?
Yes.
Oh, we should ask, shouldn't we? Well, Alan wasn't here and he got it, so. Okay, go ahead, CJ.
And I make a motion to nominate Kat Groover to be on the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee.
Cat, what's the last name?
Groover.
Groover.
Gruver. Raise your hand, Kat.
Do you accept?
I need a second.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. So we have a motion by Alderman Walker to nominate Kat Groover to represent a citizen on the Shelter Advisory Committee, and a second by Alderman Tremblay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome, everyone. Okay.
What about Chris?
Oh, yes, we should probably talk about our ACO on the committee as well.
He is on the committee.
By default?
By default, he is under,
We only have one.
yes, Chris.
I think it's open though under the ordinance, so just a formal nomination and appointment of Chris. Because it just, the wording is someone whose duties include the daily operation of the animal shelter.
Yes. I nominate Chris Maldonado to fulfill the position.
So
Do you accept?
He has no choice.
You have no choice.
I'm supposed to have a veterinarian on this.
We don't have that yet. She mentioned we don't have that yet. So do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion by Alderman Walker, a second by Alderman Rapino to nominate Chris Maldonado to represent the ACO position on the Shelter Advisory Board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome, Chris. Okay, item 11.
Is there anybody from an animal welfare organization? Are you waiting to hear back?
I'm waiting to hear
Okay.
back. I think I have one, but
To the, okay.
Waiting
Now,
on me.
From that, city council can appoint one of those members now as a chair?
Yes, so now
Those that are on there.
one of those members can be appointed as a chair.
By council.
Or you
No,
can.
by the committee.
No, the council can.
Oh, okay.
The city council shall appoint
But they
one
had to be-
member of the committee to serve as chair for a term of 2 years.
They had to be appointed to the committee before
So
the
now we
chair was
can-
appointed.
now
So
we
now
can
you
do
can
that.
appoint the chair unless you want to wait until there's a
No.
veterinarian and animal welfare organization representative to appoint a chair.
I think we need to wait until we have everybody
Okay.
on board.
Thank you, Alderman Walker. Item 11, Public Works. Discuss and or possible action on the purchase of a Coyote tractor and attachments. This is brought by Alderman Yelton and Alderman Tremblay, and I will preface this with, this is the third time we have discussed this. And unfortunately, from what I understand, the Kubota deal, they would not honor what they
The
provided
original,
to us.
exactly,
And so we had to move on to a different option here. So I'll let's let Mr. Yelton take this one.
Okay, on this, and that's why we moved away from Kubota, because they presented us a proposal and then they went sideways on their proposal and it just didn't, the numbers just don't work for the equipment. We've since went down and we've talked to various organizations, but Coyote is who we bought the zero turn from. The Coyote brand, that was a Hill Country tractor on 937. They seem to be much more involved with what we want and our needs. And the equipment is essentially as good or better, equal in quality. We're not giving up anything and we're gaining much, we're basically, if we were, and I'm not saying what we're gonna do, if we were to purchase this thing outright, we're $9,000 behind their quote at Kubota, which is a lot of money to be saved. Basically with the same equipment, less a trailer, we don't need a trailer. Our city's 2.4 square miles. If you can't drive a tractor that far, you probably shouldn't be driving it. You know? We do have trailers available to bring it from, should we purchase it from their facility to here. We have two options. Now we went in the door asking straight out what our options are, cash or what kind of other quote can you give us to our payment plan or a lease. Well, basically all the finance companies say that you cannot, they cannot provide a payment plan on something like this to a government entity. You have to lease it or you have to pay for it from their view. So they came up with a quote on the lease, which is a 72-month lease, and I think everybody has a copy of that. The difference between the lease and buying it outright is about $5,284.62 for a 72-month period, with 3 months down payment up front, and we have the option to buy out at any time. We could if you want to put a down payment, put a down payment down. We could go with a year's worth of payments, and in the next budget, maybe just pay it off. That way we can spread our money better spent in other areas. So we wouldn't be spending the taxpayers' money for this $5,200, you know, basically. I don't believe that, I don't even want to lease it, but that's not my call. You know, but I also understand we're on a tight budget, so unless we have $19,000 in It's $19,012.50 to buy it outright. And everything with them right now is about what they gave us, what they have us approved for, and we've looked at the tractor and stuff. Nothing has been said to them other than, you guys approve, we'll take it to council, we'll see what council says, and I'm to report back to them tomorrow on the result. So it's basically all the same equipment that we presented before.
So one of my concerns on the pricing, and I think I've spoken with both of you about this, is that we're not losing anything from performance, parts
Yeah.
availability, anything that would, because $9,000 is a lot of money. I know we're not getting a
We're
trailer.
giving up the trailer. We actually added in pallet forks on this one. We're not getting the
Auger.
The auger.
Ah.
So there's some price differences there.
Yeah, it's about $1,300 for the auger. Now, we can, should we get into a building thing of putting up fences or whatever, and they need the auger, that's $1,295. At any given time, we could probably handle that, you know.
Right.
As far as the quality, we've looked at it, Dave and I both looked at it hard, and we don't feel that we're giving up anything. There's a good warranty, the maintenance, they're right down the highway.
This is made by Toyota, is that
I
correct?
believe it's made by Toyota, yes.
It's they gave us a couple of different options. They are running a special on their rodeo special. Those tractors are like a standard shift that you have to have a clutch. This tractor is a hydrostatic where it's like an automatic. You don't have to shift. It's as far as its durability, it'll take more of a beating, I guess I'd say. The standard shift, we could get that tractor a lot cheaper, but if the clutch should go out, so they have to break the tractor in half to repair it. And it's $3,500 to repair
Yeah,
a clutch on a
and all
tractor.
drivers have a tendency to ride the clutch. We know that. So we got young men running this thing, and you still have a sort of a clutch. You have a clutch to engage the PTO,
Right.
but you're not shifting it with that clutch, and that does make a difference. And like David said, there was a considerable, like $1,000 difference in the price or something like that.
Probably just made more sense to
Yeah, but
go with a hydrostatic.
hydrostatic is definitely the answer for durability.
Okay. So I know that Lou was trying to speak with me earlier about, he's trying to dig through the budget and find some money. I think what I would suggest that we do with this is figure out what the monthly payments would be from, let's say, tomorrow until the end of our fiscal year, which is September 30th, and build it into the budget for next year to pay off the balance, if that's an offer that we can do with them.
Well, if looking at the original, the offer that they gave us, it's a $337 with $1,000, a little better than $1,000 down. Last meeting, we approved purchase and we were going to do $800 a month.
No, I understand, but this also has an interest
Right.
rate on it.
And so did the
So we
last
would,
one.
right, but we would have an interest rate just on the months that we're.
Right, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Right.
exactly.
There'd be no penalty for
Yeah,
early
and
payoff.
that's a small amount from now till September.
Right.
They're gonna require a 3-month down payment right out the chute on the lease.
Okay.
And one thing I do not know, and I did not ask that question, because it's not something that, at the moment was a concern, is suppose we do pay it off on the next fiscal budget. Well, at the end of the lease, you still had a $100 buyout.
It says $1.
Did it say one?
It says
A
$1.
dollar, yeah.
No.
I'll pay that.
Okay. I'll second that.
And as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, we can make an adjustment, if you will, or an assessment of what we might have. And if it's more feasible to pay it off.
This
we
year.
could Go through that process.
Exactly.
And I could come back and present that to the.
I think doing the monthly payments is probably the best way to start this out.
Well, I agree.
I mean, the down payment
Yeah.
plus the payment, the monthly
Yeah,
payments.
and as long as we're not gonna stretch it out.
No, I don't want to do that.
I don't wanna spend the taxpayers' money stretching this out to.
Well, the interest just adds to the bottom
Yeah.
line number.
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
I appreciate that, Michael. I'm a taxpayer too.
Me too.
Okay, can you form all that in the?
A motion?
In the form of a motion, sir?
Well, let's see here. Here's my paperwork.
He brought it.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the lease of this Cody tractor. It's a 2610 series for the period of the lease, and with the very much intention of paying it off early, to purchase it from Hill Country Tractor and move as quick as we can.
And would you authorize the city administrator to execute the documents?
Okay, so your question is for me to do what?
Include who's going to execute the documents.
Okay, yeah, definitely, we need to, because they wanted somebody with authority to do all the documentation and stuff, so
That gentleman over
I make in the motion that Lou Fox takes care of the paperwork on this transaction.
Do you accept that challenge?
Yes, ma'am.
So we have a motion by Alderman Yelton to approve the lease agreement with Hill Country Tractor for the 2600 series tractor as presented, and authorizing the city administrator, Lou Fox, to execute the documents. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Rapino seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Okay, last item, Parks and Recreation. Discuss under possible action on approving Gloria Sarmiento for inclusion on the Parks Committee. This was brought by Alderman Rapino and Alderman Fillinger.
So I'll ask you formally, Gloria, if you will accept that, joining the committee. You've done so much for the park already that it would be a shame not to be on the actual committee.
I would love to.
Okay, so I make a motion that we approve Gloria Sarmiento for inclusion in the Parks Committee. And I'm sorry I butchered your name all the time.
Perfect, you did great.
Okay.
I second that motion.
So we have a motion by Alderman Rapino and a second by Alderman Fillinger to approve Gloria Sarmiento to be on the Parks Committee. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Welcome. And item 13, we are adjourning at 7:33 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
That was Clark.